All right. And we're back with some Average Jose's Sports Talk, episode 10. Insane. Insane, dude.
Insane. I didn't know what you wanted me to say. I was scared.
I'm your host, Jeremiah.
And I'm the other guy, Cullen.
And it's kind of crazy that we've been doing this for 10 episodes. I mean, yeah, like you said, it feels like longer, but also like it doesn't feel long enough to be 10 episodes, but also it feels long enough to be 10 episodes, but at the same time, it doesn't feel long enough to be 10 episodes. But while I'm saying that, it still feels long enough to be 10 episodes. Imagine I do that for the whole hour.
I expect you to.
But no, we got some good stuff to talk about for you guys this week. Broncos are on a win streak, the biggest win streak in the NFL. Kind of crazy right now. The Bears gave the Lions a run for their money with Justin Fields' return game. Cowboys were at home, so you already know how that played out. And Oregon is still fighting for that playoff spot, as well as a ton of other crazy games that happened this week. But as always, before we get to that, we got to start with a quiz bowl.
A quiz bowl.
Quiz bowl.
Quiz
And
bowl.
I made sure to do my homework this time. And I know for a
we
fact
actually checked
that you started last time, because that was the episode where I was like, you go start, you go hot head. And you clowned me for it for like 5 minutes. So
I was about to clown you for it right now. I thought you misspoke again.
No. So I will start this week. For those of you that don't know, our Quiz Bowl is the first segment we do where we ask each other 3 questions, sports related typically, but we never really set rules on that. And whoever gets the most questions right gets to go first on team takes, which sometimes it's good if your teams are winning. Sometimes it's just like a punishment if your teams are losing. You're kind of 50-50 this week.
Stop.
So my theme for this week is the Chiefs and how much they're struggling this season. So the Chiefs, as some of you know, are really struggling to find a good like go-to wide receiver. I think like Mahomes is throwing to like 12 receivers a game at this point. It's kind of insane. And so my first question, after Monday's game, oh shoot, I should have said my theme. After Monday's game, what NFL team has the most drops this season?
Could it have been the Kansas City Chiefs?
I forgot how I worded it.
Bro just gave me a free one. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
You said after Monday's game.
Psych, it's the Packers. I got you.
I got you. It's the Bears, dummy.
Oh
That's
my
right, it's
gosh.
not.
It is the
drops
Chiefs.
all time or just this season?
This
I'm assuming
season.
just this season.
Yeah.
Did you
I don't
say
know.
that in the question?
I don't know if I did. I think I was already crying by the time I got to that
on
point.
The question because I knew the answer. So I just heard drops.
Yeah, so the Chiefs have the most drops this season. Can you tell me the number, though? That's the real question. Can you tell me the number?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like average of like 35 to 40 passes a game. Average of like 20 to 25 completions a game. What week is it? We just did week 11?
11. It's weird because college is always a week ahead, and I hate it.
They've had a bye. Well, we're one behind, so I know we're on episode 10. They're on week 11.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll be doing picks for week 12. That's how my whole editing thing, everything goes.
That's terrible.
They've had a bye, so 10 games. I'm gonna say 190 for drop passes.
No.
Is it less?
26.
What? Oh, drop. I was thinking
not incompletions. Yeah.
Oh, you not once did you stop me. Not once were you like.
You never stopped me. I was sitting here saying, well, they have to be on the same team.
I already got the question right, though.
No, you didn't. The real question was
you'll
passes.
do that.
The real question was drop passes.
You'll do that trying to get the actual question. After you do that, then I help you with things.
That's fair. Yeah, 26. The Chiefs are leading which makes sense. I mean, with that first week against the Lions with like Kadarius Toney dropping about 5 of them, that got him off to a rough start right away. So I feel bad for fantasy owners that have Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, must suck for them because I think no one owns him in our league.
You want
that boy like 3-4 weeks ago.
You want to give me your question?
What is the largest blown lead in NFL history?
I feel like I know this because it was talked about a lot with like the Falcons blowing that lead, but I don't think it was the Falcons blowing that lead. Oh no, I'm thinking of what team was it? There's one team I want to say it was this season that like gave up their biggest blown lead of the season, or like it tied like their biggest blown lead or something. I'm gonna say 32.
It's actually 33.
Is it really? Dang
It was
it.
last season, if
Yeah,
you'll
I knew it was
remember, when the
recently.
Vikings kept having their insane comebacks.
Vikings,
The
yes.
11-3 Minnesota Vikings
Yes, that's
came
what it
back
was.
33 points to the 4-9-1 Colts.
Yes, because they talk about it in the quarterback documentary.
Yeah, they were at 33-0 at half.
Yes.
Vikings scored 36 and Colts scored 3 in the second.
Dang.
Went into overtime and Vikings won with a field goal.
I remember that game. I remember the documentary. That was when the Colts were rocking with that one random head coach who'd like never coached football before, and he won like his first game against like the Raiders or whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, he's him!" And then they blew a 33-point lead. Yes, I remember
Yeah,
now.
I remember that game because I had Kirk Cousins, TJ
Yes,
Hawkinson,
wasn't
and
that a
Adam
primetime game
Thielen.
too?
No, it was just a Sunday because I
Just
was
a
at my
regular.
grandma's. So
Okay.
I'm like, he watches games like hours after they happen.
Hmm.
So he's like starting the game as I'm looking at my phone, like freaking out. It was like halftime, and they all had a combined like 12 points. My QB,
Yeah, that's
tight end, and wide
disgusting.
receiver. And then after half, it was like touchdown to Thielen, touchdown to Hawkinson, ran touchdown by, and at the end Kirk Cousins finished like 60 something, and then both my other players had like 15 each.
Jeez, that's crazy. Yeah, I knew it
Yeah,
was in the
I
30s because I
needed it.
remember it from last season. I can't believe how close I was though. That's insane.
You said 32, and I was like, oh brother,
I actually
oh
knew this one.
brother, this guy stinks.
Oh my goodness. All right. Keeping along the cheese. Along the Chiefs theme. Oh, I'm gonna get canceled.
Jeez,
I'm gonna get canceled.
almost said a
I know.
no.
What is Mahomes' longest touchdown pass this season?
Kansas City Chiefs.
What? Who does Mahomes play for?
Shoot, I shouldn't have said the theme. Um,
Longest touchdown pass this season.
15 yards.
46 yards. It was to Scantling against the Chargers, which is ironic because he's the one who dropped the big pass against the Eagles Monday to win them the game.
Valdez Scantling.
Yeah. But yeah, this is longest one. I think every other touchdown pass has been under 30 yards though. I think that's his only one that because which is weird though, because I saw a stat in that game
Well,
and
if
it
you
was
look
like
forward, it says Mahomes hasn't thrown a touchdown past 30 plus yards downfield since September 22.
right, and that's what they said in the
I'm
game.
assuming that means air yards, or
Yeah,
you're just wrong and you just fed me a lie.
no, this is what it says in the play-by-play of that game, and according to like this random newspaper article I found, which, as we remember, we had an argument because you found a random newspaper article a few weeks ago, and we had to do some digging. But I'm
Well, I
pretty sure,
said 15 because I read the script and saw that the 30 thing.
yeah. So I don't know,
I'm
like what,
assuming that means like air yards, like actually
yeah,
threw it 30
and they
yards.
caught it in like the end zone or something. Yeah, because that's the stat they gave during the game on Monday afterwards or something. Um, and so I
It's
was,
like they should have kept Tyreek.
yeah, didn't he? There was like contract dispute because he wasn't getting paid enough or something. I remember they talked about it. Why he's not there anymore.
I mean, he deserves it. He's about to get 2,000 yards on a season, which has never happened before.
Yeah, but which is crazy because who was it? Jerry Judy's like not too far behind him on like touchdowns or something.
Yeah, Tyreek doesn't get a ton of touchdowns. It's
His
crazy. He's
yards
almost had
is
like one every. I was just looking at it yesterday because I bet my entire bank on him to get 75 yards, over
jeez.
75 yards
Yeah.
against the Jets, and I was like, I will put my life saving on that. So now he's not going to.
Never.
hurt myself in fantasy this week.
Did you bet on your player?
Yeah.
All right, give me your second one.
Which NFL team has the lowest win-loss percentage? If you'll remember a few weeks ago, we had which NFL team has the most losses, and it
Mm-hmm.
was the Cardinals because they've been around so long. But
So is this all time then?
this is win-loss percentage.
Yeah. Is
So
this all
biggest
time?
difference of losing
All time or this season?
all time. Just worst franchise record.
I'd say it's got to be a newer team that's not as good because then they're not getting as many wins under their belt.
I
Or
have no idea when this team came into play.
I'm just gonna rock with who's doing terrible now. No, because I was gonna say the Panthers, but the Panthers were decent with Cam Newton at a certain point, so I'm sure they racked up a good amount of
They
wins
had
then.
one good season.
Okay, I'll go Panthers.
I didn't say you had to pick the. It wasn't the. I was just correcting you on saying
No,
that
you're telling
Cam
me I
Newton.
have to pick them.
No, I was just saying Cam. You're like praising Cam Newton. He had one good season.
They made a Super Bowl run in that one good season.
Do you think one good season is gonna just like turn the tide for the whole entire franchise?
It's doing it for the Broncos right now.
You want to take that one back too? No, it is
Who was
not
it?
the Panthers.
Who was it?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the lowest win-loss percentage of .404.
It's probably like 0.1 before Brady got there.
I think you understand how percentages work.
0?
Believe it or not, him being there for what, 3 seasons would not have brought it up .3.
No, but it was probably like a little bit lower before he got there because
Well, yeah, it was definitely lower, but it
the
wouldn't
Buccaneers
have
never
brought it.
had like a cracked out quarterback besides Jameis Winston.
And this was updated like right before the season started, so that's not including like this year.
Oh my gosh! If I knew that, I would have accounted for that. I thought we were counting this season as well. I would.
You said not the Panthers because of Cam Newton. I said he had one good season. You're like Panthers, gotta be.
I mean, if you've listened to this podcast long enough, you'll know that I switch my allegiances very quickly. So
We'll know that you don't actually look for anything at all.
oh my goodness! All right. Final question. Where is Mahomes living? What city? No, I'm just kidding.
Mahoney?
Where is
Oh.
Mahomes ranking on QBR this season? So what number is he out of all the quarterbacks in the league? What's his ranking for
I should
QBR?
know this. I looked up QBRs last week to see where Sam Howell was.
Yeah, but you probably were looking
No,
low
I was like,
enough.
oh my god, Patrick Mahomes is that low? No, because Sam Howell was ranked 20th. Because I
Yeah.
thought his QBR was higher because he's like the number 2 fantasy QB.
He's like the number 2. He's like the best fantasy player, but he's like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't realize he was doing that.
I don't
good.
know
I
how
looked it up
that
and he was like
translates.
20th for QBR. And I was
I
like,
don't know how that translates.
and last week didn't help Sam Howell at all.
Oh.
I'm gonna say 17th.
5th.
What?
Yeah, he's 5th right now.
I could have swore he was in the. I could have swore when I was looking through the thing, I was like, oh, he's doing awful.
He was like a little bit ago. I think this game definitely helped him a little bit, not too much, because his QBR was still kind of rough. But can you guess who number 1 is?
No QB has really been like insane or like.
They're also
perfect
up and
lately,
down.
so,
Yeah,
like I don't. I'm gonna
it was
say
like
Jalen
Josh.
Hurts.
It was Josh Allen like a little bit ago. No, Jalen Hurts isn't even. No, Jalen Hurts is 6th.
I literally have no idea just because
Brock Purdy is number 1 right
Oh
now.
yeah, I did know that.
But I mean, that's with a QBR of 77. Like, it's
Yeah,
insane. No one's averaging. I think Josh Allen was top a little bit not too long ago, but it goes Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, and then Patrick Mahomes at 5th.
Oh, my homie.
Gardner
Oh,
Minshew is 11. Kirk Cousins is still sitting at 8th, and this man has not played for like what, 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks? How long has Dobson played for him? About 3 or 4 weeks. Because he went out around the same
didn't
time
Kirk Cousins go
Fields
out
did, right?
after
Or was it after
the
Fields?
Fields game? Because it was playing the Bears that Fields went out, and that was 4 games ago, I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, so I mean,
I
he's
think
still
went out the week after.
he hasn't played like what, 2 weeks then, 3 weeks. And he's 8th. That's Lamar Jackson and Tua and CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence all below him.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he finished his season with a 63.1 QBR on the season.
That means they have to get theirs higher than that because his literally won't change.
His won't change. You just have to be at 63. But like, I'm sure Lamar could have done it like not too long ago, and then they lost to the Browns.
That's crazy.
All right, give me your last
I've been
one.
fact checking you because what you said
Shoot.
didn't sound right, and I
Shoot.
have both players on my
Shoot.
fantasy team. You said that Jerry Judy was like close for touchdowns despite Tyreek Hill being on track for 2,000 yards. Tyreek Hill has 9 touchdowns this season.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Judy has 1. So they're not that close.
What was it? Maybe it was Sutton. Is it Sutton? There was a Broncos receiver where they were like, he's almost like Tyreek Hill. And I was like, what? And it was like, look, he's almost got as many stats. And I was like, yeah, but he's still off by like 4. It's probably Sutton then.
Sutton has 8 touchdowns.
So okay, so it was Sutton. So it was Sutton. It wasn't Jerry Judy. It was Sutton.
You said Jerry Judy, and I was like, no, the most points
I
Jerry
think
Judy's got for me is 7.
they were saying that because Sutton is like Russell Wilson's go-to receiver for the season.
Number 1, which is awesome because I got Jerry Judy because I thought he would be the one, and then he's not. So.
No, Russell Wilson said before, he said, Mr. Unlimited's going to pass to Mr. Sutton.
I don't want to do this with you, like, at all. You just
Mr. Unlimited. All right, give me your last question. We got to move on.
I like doing this. I'm just talking with you.
Me too. We should do a podcast.
Okay, so this, I will accept 2 different answers for this. Okay? What QB has lost to every NFL team?
Me. All right.
Yeah, it says Jeremiah. That's crazy.
Betting wise? Yeah.
You have bet against every QB and they have won, yeah.
So it's got to be someone who's been on the same team for his whole career.
You're like, oh, Patrick Mahomes. Like, no, he's always been a Chief, dummy.
So we know it's not Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert. Is it? Is it Jameis Winston?
No.
Oh, because he's been on like 3 different teams and he's never been on a good team. So I just figured he'd like.
Who has he played for? Because obviously
Saints, Buccaneers, and what was his 3rd team?
Was he a Viking?
No.
I don't think he was a Viking.
Hey Sarah, can we get a fact check? We got our intern Sarah here looking up the Just kidding, we don't have an intern, guys.
Just kidding. We don't make any money.
But my Siri did turn on because she thought I called her name.
Siri.
She could help us, I guess. Let's see. I just want career. All right, played for the Saints, Buccaneers. Oh, he was drafted by the Buccaneers, so he's only played for those 2 teams.
I didn't think he had played for more teams.
Dang. I thought he'd played for a 3rd one. That's tough.
Do you want to hear the answer?
No, I'm good not knowing.
Cool.
Who is it?
No quarterback has ever lost to all teams,
I
but
hate you.
no, but I would have accepted a Jameis Winston counterpart, Derek Carr,
Uh,
because he's the closest QB to lose to every team. There have been 9 QBs to lose to 30 NFL teams.
yeah.
9.
Is he 31? Is he lost to 31?
No, he's
Oh.
at 30,
Oh,
but
okay.
everyone else is retired or out of the league. I
Oh.
don't know why it said or out of the league because obviously if they're retired, they're not playing anymore.
Well, I wonder if like if they just like got dropped or something and like never officially retired. They just never got picked up. Like what would it
They're
be?
just
It'd
not
be
on a team right
like
now.
Cam Newton or
Yeah,
Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick wouldn't be retired. He would just be not playing.
but of those 9, Derek
That's
Carr is the
actually
only QB
insane.
that's still playing. The 2 teams he has not lost to are the Panthers and the Raiders because he played with them so long. Saints do not play the Raiders this season. The only way they lose to Raiders this season
As if they
is
make it
if
into the
they
playoffs.
are in the Super Bowl together
Oh my
because
gosh.
one's NFC and one's AFC. So that's probably not going to happen. They do play the Panthers one more time this
Oh
season because they're in the same
no.
division.
But is he starting? Is he still injured?
I don't know. But they already played the Panthers. They only won 16-13. The Panthers almost came out with a win
I
in
remember
that
that.
game.
Yeah.
So he has next season playing the Raiders. Next season, he could be the first QB
To
to
lose to
ever
every single
lose
team.
to every single team.
That's actually crazy. Wow. Does it count if he doesn't play in the game? I'm guessing. Like,
I'm assuming it doesn't count because he didn't technically lose to them.
right?
He
Could you
wasn't the
imagine?
reason
He
for the
goes.
loss.
He like gets listed as injured right before the Panthers game, just so he doesn't get a chance to like lose to
Coach,
them.
please don't let me play against the Panthers and Raiders. Please don't let me. Please, please,
It's
please,
like
please.
in his contract.
His contract, he cannot be the first QB to lose to every NFL team. So yeah,
That's crazy. Wow.
So when I said 2, I was
You would take the
accepting
one who's
no one
closest.
has done it or Derek Carr.
That's actually
And you were
nuts. That
close. You were
I
so close
was.
because you
I
said
was
Jameis
his
Winston. I was like,
backup.
oh, he's on the right team, just not the right QB.
Well, it's just crazy because I was trying to pick a quarterback who hasn't been great and who's played for teams who haven't been great and has played for multiple teams. I thought Winston had played for 3. I'm sure. I honestly don't know if Derek Carr would have been on my radar.
I was just thinking of teams that have been
Like
notoriously
notorious.
notorious not good. So
Yeah, no, that
Raiders
makes
make
sense.
sense because you have to look at teams that not only have been notoriously bad,
Yeah.
but also have a QB that left that team for a different one. I'm surprised that people like Ryan Fitzpatrick don't
Mm,
have 32 teams lost to
right, because
because
he's
they've been
played
on
for
so many
9
teams.
teams, I'm pretty sure. Like,
Like
yeah.
I'm surprised there's not actual players
Or
that have lost all 32.
like I guess Johnny Manziel only played for the Browns. Did he play Browns?
Yeah,
And for such a short
I
period
don't even think
that
he played a full season.
yeah, so that would be a tough one. Baker, I could possibly see just because Baker has bounced around quite a bit.
He's been on
Because
3 teams.
I could see him, depending on when he retires, I could see him getting up for that number. Um, yeah, I could, depending on how the Broncos start to pick it up, I could see Russell Wilson getting on that list as well, just because he's
What's
played for
funny
the 2.
is Baker Mayfield was one of the people that beat the Raiders and everyone was making fun of the Raiders because they're like they lost to a
Where he
broadcast or
just
whatever. They
learned
lost to
yeah,
a quarterback that just learned the thing, and then someone else. Was it
yeah.
Josh Dobbs?
Probably would have been. It probably is
Was it
Josh
2
Dobbs.
quarterbacks that never learned the thing? And
I think it is. Yeah. Um, technically, you won the quiz bowl, so I guess you can go first.
I didn't technically win. I did win.
Technically, anyways.
Technically, I gave you a W because I told you the answer before we started.
All right, talk to me about this Bears Lions game. It was kind of crazy.
Um, I mean,
What
they're-
happened? Was it a good game?
the Bears and Lions played.
It says here the Bears lost. Hey man,
I mean, that is like
at least you guys will get a great draft pick.
we honestly won't. We're not even. We're like fifth on the list or something. Like, yeah, Bears Lions. Bears lost somehow.
In like the
We
last
were
like
up.
couple minutes or something,
We
right?
were up 12 with 3 minutes left in the
Yeah,
game.
yeah, I knew it was like close.
We were up 12 points with 3 minutes left in the game.
It's a 2-possession lead.
Justin Fields had a better QBR than Jared Goff. Less yards, less touchdowns, but he also had 3 less interceptions and or the same amount of sacks. I was going to say 2 less sacks.
Do you think
Um,
it says he had 23 attempts on passes? Do you think they were passing less because Herbert was back, and so they were like wanting to utilize him more or whatever?
they didn't even use Herbert that much.
Really?
Herbert wasn't even going to be the number one because of how much Foreman had shown,
Right.
but Foreman was also battling an injury.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure he left the game at some point due to his injury. So then Herbert started getting more carries. It was just a tough week because Fields is coming
yeah.
back from a hand injury, and all game he was like shaking out his hand and like flexing it and stuff. So it was clearly still bothering him a little bit. Um, I feel like they just needed to test the water with him, get him,
Yeah.
kind of passing, and then
He had a
he
decent
had over
showing.
100 yards of running. So
Oh,
his legs
jeez.
clearly still work. Yeah, he was the number one rusher with over 100 rush yards.
From what I saw, it looked like he was doing pretty good about stepping up in the pocket and
Oh my, he was
like
playing like
he
he
looked
looked like a
pretty.
quarterback.
Yeah,
Like
he
he could
looked pretty
step up
good.
in the pocket, throw a dime. Like he looked so good. Like I said, we were winning by so many points with 3 minutes left in the game. I don't know if defense just stopped playing. I don't know if
Well,
coaches started calling terrible calls.
I mean, only 2 sacks against a Lions pass rush that gave the Chiefs a hard time in week 1.
Our line has been
Like,
playing so much better.
that's
Like
very impressive. That's a win
I
right
saw
there.
highlights of last week, not the Lions last week, but the week before. And they were blocking like so well. Like they were like getting dudes off if there was full pressure. The running back, fullback would be able to pick up blocks. Like the line has been like stepping it up and playing better. I think honestly, it is management, like head coaches. Instagram is not the place. Instagram and Twitter are not the places to look for like what's wrong with a team.
Everyone says it's Fields still.
No, that's why I'm saying I think it is management because for the first time ever, I didn't see a single thing saying it was Justin Fields.
I
He
saw a
didn't even have
couple
that great,
things
like
saying it, but
less than 200 yards, only 7 incompletions. It's crazy. Not an interception, but on Instagram and Twitter, I did not see a single thing that said Justin Fields. Everyone's like, get rid of the coaching. Like, if you blow a
finally.
12-point lead in 3 minutes, it has to be the coach. I'm a little bit like, why wasn't the defense stopping it? But if the defense is getting like the wrong calls, like if the DC, which in this instance is our head coach, if they're calling bad covers, then obviously, it can't all be the defense's fault. So
yeah, they can only do so much.
a lot of people are saying get rid of everything. And then after that win or loss, Lions win, I guess, a former Bears tight end who's like super big. I'm blanking on his name right now because I'm on the spot, but I literally was just talking about it yesterday. He went on a giant Twitter rant, like pages and pages long, about what is wrong in Chicago. They're chasing like the 85 Bears. They're not worried about getting a new fan base. They're just worried about keeping like the legacy fan base. He said like people in Chicago don't care about the Bears except like old heads.
Wow.
He said that like upper management is literally just trying to make the legacy people happy for money instead of bringing in new fans. And if the Bears are going to change that, or if the Bears are going to be good, they have to change from that mindset. So he was mad. He was calling for the firing of all the heads and all the coaches, and I'm hoping that we see the firing of everyone, just a
Yeah.
fresh front office. Um, I hope we can get a head coach that is on like the Lions, like an assistant or a coach that's on the Lions or the Chiefs or a good team,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to be a head coach and really change the program.
Yeah.
Um,
Could you imagine at the end of the
but
season they
with
just dump
upper management,
dump
I
the
don't know.
players and they keep the coaching staff and everything?
I could see exactly that because they're not worried about. I mean, you see, they recycle players so much. They're like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just they weren't good in one season, so they'll never be good. They kick them out, and then they keep the coaching staff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how are they supposed to be good when you're calling rush, 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 punt it every single like?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to do good. Like going into games, the defense is like, oh, we knew exactly what they're going to do. They lined up like this 14 times in a row, so we knew where it was going. That's why we
Yeah.
got the play minus 10 yards. Like
Yeah.
obviously, it's the coaches. Like the
I
players aren't
think
like,
the
we
I
should
think the
throw a
Bears
screen
definitely yeah,
pass.
I think the Bears definitely showed that they have the players to be a competitive team. It's just like you said, like their play calls are just it's shooting them in the foot every week. I mean,
Yeah,
they just competed against a team that was 7-2, like that was giving teams a run for their money. That had beat the Chiefs at the start of the season. That is a Lions team that we have not seen this good since the '60s, right? And like they gave him a tough matchup, and it's because Justin Fields was allowed to do what Justin Fields does best, and that's run the ball or slide or scramble for like a good pass, right? Like,
and defense was able to get through that offensive line for the Lions. That a week before we saw them move the defense 5 yards, that way they could pick up
yeah,
that first down.
Lions have
The
one of the
Bears
best
were able
offensive
to get
lines.
through the line like nothing. Like, well, maybe not like nothing, but they were able to get right through, get to Goff,
Yeah,
pass deflect, like only 2 sacks, but they got to him so many times
yeah,
that he had to get the ball out or he threw an incompletion or got an interception. Like we were doing things. The
yeah,
coaches are just not helping us. And again, every time the Bears have a good first half or first good 3 quarters, quarter four, quarter three, we go back to run, run, screen pass, punt it.
yeah.
Every time. I'm
Every
like,
time.
what?
Once you get a safe lead, you just fall back into what you guys do.
I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we had a good first half because we were
Yeah,
actually playing football. They didn't know what we were going to do next. Now they're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a screen pass because it's 3rd and 45. Like,
yeah, that's tough.
I'm so done with the
Well,
staff on that team.
I think all you guys need to round out the team is just a D2 quarterback named Alexander Allen, and
It's not his name. Don't you ever
uh,
disrespect Aaron Allen again.
oh my goodness. Tell me about this Wyoming game though. Last home game of the season.
I was expecting Wyoming to win. I wasn't expecting it to be 42-9.
Yeah,
Um, Peasley was 14 of 17,
that's insane.
319 yards. In the first quarter, he had, I think, 140 because the first 2 touchdowns was a 75-yarder and an 82-yarder, I'm pretty sure. Like he just insane game.
It's an
QBR
average
of
of
90.
23 yards per completion.
Yeah, it was insane. He had a QBR of 95.1. I watched that game. I turned it off and like I turned it off at the half, not because I was like, "Oh, I'm done with this game," because I was like, "They're winning." Like I don't actually need to watch this game anymore. And they were doing so much where I was like, it's kind of boring that like nothing is actually happening.
Yeah,
Defense
it's
was playing
insane.
insane. 2 interceptions. I really don't have much to say about it. I didn't fully watch it, so I can't talk about the entirety of it. But
What's that move
what
them
I
to?
saw
Like
was great.
8-5, 8-4.
4, I believe.
Is it
I
eight?
believe they're
Yeah,
4.
maybe it's 7-4. I think it's 7-4. Yeah, dude, that's insane. I mean, they literally won every single home game this season. like we said, like the only reason they get a bowl game this year is because they had more home games than away games. So
Which I mean, that's fine if you can do it.
that's
You can do it
crazy.
every season.
All right. Time for my turn.
Oh,
I had a. Can I go? What on the news around the world? Broncos beat the Vikings and are on like I think it's 5 game win streak. They have the biggest win streak in the NFL right now. Um, beat the Vikings
which is crazy
21.
because the Vikings had the largest win streak last week.
Beat them 21-20. Russell Wilson had an amazing game. 27-35. 259 yards,
Are you making a joke?
1 touchdown, and 2 sacks. So I mean, those are all-star numbers.
You said that, I was like, I don't know if he's serious right now because that's not an amazing game.
Oh, what's funny,
Honestly,
what's crazy is Jared Goff. Yeah, he threw like 4 less for kind of close to the same yards, and he threw 1 more touchdown, but he threw 3 more interceptions. And you're telling me his QBR is like 19 more points than Russell Wilson's? He threw 3 interceptions. Russell Wilson had no turnovers that game. I don't think he fumbled, but like,
I don't think I don't know if he fumbled on it.
that's just. I saw that and I was like, dog, come on. Like, that's unfair. This dude, yeah, he threw one. What's a touchdown worth? Like 50 points? Like,
Probably it's the actual pointage that
yeah.
is scoring.
But this is another close one for the Broncos. I mean, it came down to like the last minute for them to win. And again, they just marched it down the field and put up an insane touchdown at the end, and then held the Vikings within like the last like 20 seconds or something. I don't remember.
That
This
was
game
such
was
an awful
so long
game to
ago.
watch. I was
It was a
watching this, I was like,
wild
this
game.
is so boring and nothing is happening. Like,
It's the same
the only
thing.
reason it got crazy was because at the very end the Broncos started playing. But I was
Yeah.
like, Broncos have 5 field goals at this point. Like,
It's the same thing with every week where like our defense is starting to step it up, but all of a sudden our offense is just our offense was put up like 30-point games to start the season, and now we struggle to get it into the red zone. Like, I don't know what happened, what kind of trade-off they had to make so that their defense stepped up and their offense like back. I don't know what it is with the
the coaches were like,
Broncos.
we can only coach one of you a game, so you have to pick if you want defense or offense.
I know. I don't know if like they just have terrible time management, so they can only get to like one group of players per week for practice, and like the other group just has to go practice behind like a Denny's or something. But like this is just insane to me. How out of nowhere we're now like holding teams like the Chiefs, Bills, and Vikings to like 20 or less point games, but we ourselves can barely outscore that. Like, I don't know, dude, it's insane. It's so wild to me. But if the Broncos can just get that connection between offense and defense and both get on this, it's like the Cowboys where it's like if the defense is doing good, then they're probably going to win the game. But like if the offense is killing it, but the defense is kind of doing bad, then they're probably going to lose that game. But if we can just get
Defenses win games.
oh for sure, I mean definitely. But I mean that's why the Chargers are struggling is because yeah they could put up 40
They don't have
points,
defense.
but their opponent can put up 60. So like so I mean, I'd probably rather have a good. It's gonna make for a boring game, but I'd rather have a good defense than like a cracked
Right,
out
because that's your
offense.
team. So like
Yeah,
watching it, you're like, this is boring, but
but we
I'm
can
having
get
a
a
good
win.
time because
Yeah,
the defense is playing. Me
yeah.
watching, I'm a Vikings fan, not a Vikings fan, but
I
I
like the
like the
Vikings. I like
Vikings.
the Vikings.
I usually love watching the
I
Vikings.
like
Watching
Josh
that game, I
Dobbs
was
too.
like, I turned it off like immediately. I was like, this game sucks. Like this,
Yeah,
Josh Dobbs didn't have that great of a game. No
no,
one was actually playing football.
it was a
Broncos would
rough
like
game.
do things, and I was like, oh, they're getting a touchdown, field goal. And I was like, you're on the 2. How did you not score a touchdown?
It's
Like
so
all
bad,
game, I
dude.
was like, oh
Oh,
shoot, the Broncos are gonna get. Never mind. Oh, the Bronco. No. Other. No. Like the entire game, I was like,
what's
this
crazy?
game is awful.
What's crazy is we play the Browns this week, and that's another one where I'm like, I feel like we could win this. The Browns do have a good defense, though, so I mean that's gonna be a good
That's
matchup.
what I. That's why I said,
Browns
ooh.
have good defense. I think it's gonna be another purely
Pretty
defensive.
sure they have the number 1 ranked
I think it's
defense.
gonna be like a 17-16 game. Like that's gonna be the final score. I could not tell you who.
Broncos are gonna lose because they didn't score 18.
Yeah, I could not tell you who comes out on top. It's probably gonna be the Browns. Um, Because you'd be like, oh, they don't have Deshaun Watson. Broncos have a good chance. But it's like, yeah, but like
They played pretty well last week.
they played insanely well. But Russell Wilson will probably like throw like 3 pick sixes. So, and then Oregon, Arizona State. I mean, I didn't watch this one. When I turned it on and it was 42-0 at like halftime or whatever, I was like, cool, all right, feel good. Final score is 49-13, and that's because I don't think they played any starters the second half. Bo Nix went 24 of 29, 404 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, a QBR of 99.5, and I think that's only because that was one half. I don't think he played the second half. If at like maybe like the start of the third, they pulled him.
This is what is a good game. Like you're like Bo Nix
okay
had an insane game.
Bo Nix had a solid game. Decent
like,
game.
He's like 21 of like 35, 230 yards, and like he still usually has good touchdowns. So like this is a good game.
This is a game.
404 yards on 24 completions and 6 touchdowns. That is a good game. That's
mediocre
a great game.
That's an okay game.
He'll have 1 touchdown, 200 yards. And you're like, Bo Nix is the greatest thing that has
which is
ever
so funny,
happened to
which
college
is so
football.
funny because not once have I been like he should win the Heisman. I'm like Bo Nix is a great quarterback, but probably not Heisman. Like and you're like, wait, why are you saying one but not the other? Do both at this point? No. After this game though, I was like, okay, like I could see why people are pushing for Bo Nix for like Heisman. Like this was just push. And I can see why the people of Oregon are pushing for Bo Nix.
See why Oregon fans want him to be.
I mean, he's like what? He's like third in the race, third or fourth.
I was gonna say he's 30. I was like,
he's like 30th.
He's like 30.
It's funny though because if you look at Trenton Bourget, I don't know, Bouquet, I don't know how to say his last name. For Arizona State, he was like 20 of 37, 142 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So it's just funny to just imagine like Bo Nix comes out here with like his eyes closed, dancing around, heaves it downfield for a touchdown, and then like Trenton for Arizona State comes out and he's just fighting for his life on that field, like trying to get the ball past like 10 yards or something. But it was a good showing.
They haven't updated the Heisman tracker.
Really? Because they updated playoff.
November 2nd.
They updated playoff picture like yesterday, so that's weird.
It's been 20 days because when I logged in, it said Travis and Nix are tied at 23 still. Like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's
no way.
Only through week 9.
Wow. Yeah, they're missing a few big games. Washington's now 4th for playoff ranking. Florida State took 5th, which means Oregon's still at 6th, but I don't know, dude. I think with this Michigan-Ohio State game coming up, I have a feeling whoever loses that, they might drop them out of the playoff picture, which means Oregon might have a chance to hop into that spot. So,
do you know how college works at all?
No.
Whoever loses is just going to keep their same position.
Get a degree.
Or since it's what, 2 and 3?
Yeah, they're 2 and 3. They'll just switch.
They'll just flip.
You say that, but Florida State won their game and they dropped a 5th because their quarterback broke his leg.
Yeah, but Florida State hasn't always been like the top. It's Ohio State and Michigan. Like,
I don't know. I could see them one
wins. They might drop just because everyone's Michigan is not a good team. They
Dude, for real,
signs. They're trash.
Georgia's back at 1 now, which is crazy. So I wrote the script for this yesterday before playoff rankings been updated. I know for sure Washington and Florida State's changed. I don't know about the others. So rankings may be a little off on this, but bear with us here. But first off, Washington played Oregon State. Washington is now ranked number 4 following the updated rankings. I don't know what Oregon State's new ranking is, but Washington beat Oregon State 22-20. You would think that like Oregon State almost won it at the end, but it was only so close because they hit a field goal at the end to make it 20. So it was like 20. It was like 22-17, and then they like just hit a field goal to cover the spread, I guess. Penix was held to 162 passing yards, still got 2 touchdowns. But like Oregon State, they held Washington pretty well offensively. They had a good defensive game against them. Did you watch this game at all?
I don't think I watched any college football this week.
There's so much to keep track on college. It's terrible. But it'll be interesting because Oregon State has a chance to like make Oregon miss out on the playoffs. They play each other this upcoming Friday. Um, so they have a chance to kind of ruin their season right here. With the defensive showing they had, it could be a good matchup. But I don't know. It's Oregon's kind of been surprising me with just how they'll come out and just obliterate a team out of nowhere. And I'm like, wow, I thought they were going to struggle.
Wow.
But Washington's officially in the college playoffs now, which is kind of crazy to see. Pac-12 team. I think it's the first Pac-12. No, Oregon. Oregon would have been. Still, though, I mean, it's the first time we've had a Pac-12 team in a while. It feels.
I don't know the things like the divisions or whatever they're called.
Conferences.
Conferences. I don't know
Oh
those at
dear.
all. I
Florida.
shouldn't be here.
Yeah, I don't know why we invite you. Florida State played North Alabama. Florida State now is ranked number 5, and they beat them 58-13. The reason I included this game though is because their quarterback Jordan Travis is done for the season after snapping his leg in half.
Did you watch it?
I heard it was disgusting, and I did not want to see it, so I avoided watching it.
I looked it up.
How bad is it compared to like the Nick Chubb injury?
It wasn't as severe looking. Like at first, I couldn't even really see it, and then afterwards, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty not.
Should
That's
not
a
be like
little bit
that.
pretty broken."
I thought after because he went out early in the game, so I thought, oh dang, Florida State might lose this game. They still dominated, and their backup went 13 for 23 with 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I mean, like they've got a solid backup core apparently, and I mean their running back had 3 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. So
That's insane.
I don't. I think it's kind of crazy that they dropped Florida State out of the ranking just because their quarterback's out, especially after they proved that they didn't like really need him. But it'd be interesting to see how they do against like Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia with this backup quarterback. I mean, they're playing North Alabama. I mean, it's not a team everyone's talking about. So let's see if they play real Alabama. But I don't know. I don't think Florida State will crawl back into the top 4, but we'll see.
Probably just because of all like averages and things. And just
Yeah.
like, I mean, obviously, I mean it works in the NFL like that too. If
Right. Power rankings and stuff.
Patrick Mahomes like goes out, then it's like, oh yeah, now their percentage to win the next game just dropped by a bunch.
Right. Because, yeah, no, that makes sense. I think it's impressive their backup came out in the middle of this crazy like game and still put up a decent showing. I'm proud of him.
I'm proud.
You want to talk about some NFL games though?
No. Chiefs Eagles. Whatever. Chiefs had it. I think they should have won.
It's
Because
some bad mistakes.
I had them this week. No, I didn't pick them this week. You gave them to me this week. But
Oh yeah, I got both my games because of that.
I know you won because you picked both of those things.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought the Chiefs had it. They should have.
I was nervous. Yeah. They made some bad
like we
mistakes.
talked about earlier, their receivers just would not catch the ball. I saw a few of them because I didn't watch the game because I was at dinner because it was my birthday.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
I wasn't watching the game, but I was like looking at the ESPN play-by-play of it, and it was like, "Oh yeah, this guy dropped a ball," and I was like, "Oh, that sucks." It was like, "This guy dropped a ball."
Dropped a ball.
Oh, that sucks.
This guy
and I saw them, and I was like, "Oh, he dropped a wide open touchdown pass." Like that's and so.
I think so. There were a lot of big drops. I mean, they had 5 drops total, I think, and like 3 of those came on that final drive. One of them being Marquez Scantling's big one he dropped. I will say Mahomes did throw an interception in the end zone. I don't remember how early in the game it was, and I don't remember if the Eagles ended up scoring on that possession because Kelsey like fumbled, and the Eagles recover. They were in the red zone. Kelsey fumbles it. Eagles recover, but then they go like 3 and out. So that fumble obviously wasted a Chiefs possession and red zone possession, but didn't end up working out for the Eagles. I don't remember if the interception worked out for the Eagles, but like only one of those was on Mahomes. The rest, like it was hitting receivers dead in the hands, and they just could not. Like it was bad.
Well, again, it was prime time, which I want to say this proves it does not matter if it's the Broncos, the Bears, the Panthers. If it's a prime time game, it's not going to be good. Okay, we learned that a
It's not
lot
just
this
us.
week.
It's not just us.
Okay, Thursday, decent game, but mainly only from the Ravens.
Yeah,
Mainly
I mean, it doesn't help when your like star quarterback, tears a ligament in his wrist and he's out for the season.
Broncos, Vikings,
Great game.
awful
Great
game.
game.
Was not even a little bit exciting.
Great game.
And then Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. You're like, oh, this is gonna be the greatest game of all time. Like, no, it was a primetime game. So the game went punt,
There's
touchdown,
so many 3-and-outs.
interception by both teams, punt, touchdown, punt, field goal, punt,
Pump, pump,
touchdown, fumble, punt, touchdown, punt,
pump, pump.
downs, end of game. Like,
Oh my gosh. There
awful
were
game.
a lot of 3-and-outs that game. I was like, this is getting frustrating. I was like, I'm getting like frustrated for these teams.
Almost every punt was a 3-and-out. Almost.
Because what happened was the Chiefs had great defensive pressure on Hurts. Like they weren't letting him escape the pocket, so he couldn't scramble. And they were not letting the Eagles get within like a few yards of the first down because they knew that if they did, it's a tush push and automatic first down, right? Like the Eagles made the tush push and they're dominating with it, right? There was one tush push that whole game, I believe, and it was when the Eagles scored because Hurts aired one out to like Swift or whatever, and he caught it and was down on like the 1 yard line. So like, okay, yeah, like that's a clear, Other than that, though, the Chiefs were not letting the Eagles get close to. If it was going to be a first down, like the Eagles were going to have to get like 7 or more yards on a play to do it because they were not getting close. So
Yeah.
the Chiefs' defense really kept them in that game. If the defense wasn't doing what they were, it easily could have been like a 40-17 game. Like it was purely defensive. I don't think it's too hard to have a good defensive game against Mahomes this season, just with his limited receiver usage. And I will say they locked down Kelsey, and so he was going to a different tight end for most of the game and ended up scoring a touchdown with him and like a few other big plays. So I mean, like they adapted really well to Kelsey being doubled up on, but other than that, dude, like they gotta get like AJ Brown or someone on the they got to get a star receiver to the Chiefs stat because no one's catching a ball over there. It's insane.
I would
No,
also like to talk about we played each other in fantasy this week.
we had each other to
I
be the
have
kickers.
Philadelphia's kicker, and you have the Chiefs.
I was hoping they'd get close enough
Um,
for a field goal, and they only got like one field goal.
you still won in the kicker battle, but it didn't come down to kickers like we thought it would. Just because you really only had Christian McCaffrey,
Oh, I had
CJ
a
Stroud, and
terrible
your
fantasy
defense
week. I had a
playing. Like,
terrible fantasy week, and everyone else was on a bye week, so my bench was just zeros.
yeah, I was
So
like, who could he put in instead of these players? Because
no
they're not
one.
going to do
I
anything.
played
And I
my
was like,
best lineup.
bye week,
Geno Smith.
bye week, Geno Smith.
Yeah. No, it was
Justin Fields had one more point than Sam Howell,
Sam Howell ended up coming back on points wise. It was impressive.
which was good because
I was mad because at the half CJ had like 39 points and they're like he's putting up 70 and then he finished like 42 and I was like what happened in that what happened in that second half that he just
I was surprised Metcalf played for you because he hasn't been.
Yeah, he's been struggling this season.
And then when I saw your last two players remaining were Butker and Sky Moore, I was like, okay, I won. I was like, Sky Moore's had over 5 points like once this season.
Yeah, I looked at getting a new receiver, and when I like tried to do the transaction a couple days ago, like before the game, it was like this will process Wednesday, and I was like, then what's the point of me doing this? I'm not gonna. If I can't use them Monday, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah, Sky Moore's points go 1, 11, 5, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1.
Yeah, it was.
We could have just traded. I could have given you hold on.
Bless you. Bless, sure.
Could have given you Dotson or Judy, who has almost as many touchdowns as Tyreek Hill.
All right, talk about the Bengals game.
I thought I did.
No, that was the Chiefs Eagles.
Actually, I haven't been paying attention this whole episode.
I am zooted.
I'm off the good. Bengals versus Ravens. I almost said Rams.
That was a couple weeks ago. I think that was a primetime game too. The injuries in this game were disgusting.
34-20 Ravens W. Which I would have said, but you took that from me.
Sorry.
You suck.
Go ahead again.
Huh?
You can try again if you want.
Oh yeah, I'll try. Even though they won this week, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure you just won because you took the two primetime games. But
I think I had one more, but yeah. Which means I get to stick with teams again.
Joe Burrow is out for the season because he tore a ligament in his wrist. We saw him on the sideline try to throw a ball, and it looked like me trying to throw left-handed with my eyes closed in the dark.
He went to throw and he was like, huh.
He went to throw, his arm crumpled, and he just sat there with a limp arm, and was like, oh yeah, he's hurt. Lamar Jackson looked like he was moving slow due to his ankle injury, possibly. Odell got injured. So the three players that I'm about to talk about were all the same guy that hurt them all.
Logan Wilson.
And you know why that's cool, right?
Went to the University of Wyoming.
He went to Wyoming. We got to see him play in college, and he played, not, I guess, technically with Josh Allen.
It's actually crazy because I don't know if you remember, man, when we watched that game, I was like, hey, man, you see that guy right there? I bet he's going to hurt Lamar Jackson one day. Some LeBron type.
Wasn't Lamar Jackson the same draft class as Josh Allen?
Probably. I was like, I bet he's going to hurt Lamar Jackson from Louisville one day.
Who's that? But yeah, the dude that hurt him was in the same draft class as Josh Allen.
Under a lot of fire because the way he tackles, he does a hip roll, so he grabs and rolls them. Then that's why you see ankle injury. Well,
because he
shoulder
grabs
injury,
and just drops his body weight. So when they're falling, his body weight is on
the ankle, and then he rolls them so they land on their
tackle
shoulder
from behind.
Yeah, they're hating on him because of his tackling. But I mean, Joe Burrow's out. I feel like that's a good trade, right? Burrow's out for season. These three players are done for a little bit,
a game or two. Odell's out, but he should be back soon. Mark Andrews.
It's not like anyone's gonna miss him. What was Odell doing before this game?
I forgot that he's still.
I think he was on this game. He was on track to have his highest yardage of the season of 110 or something. Yeah, he's done. Mark Andrews will be a big one for them to miss, though.
Yeah, because that's their number one guy to throw to.
Yeah,
their tight end. Yeah, I don't.
Crazy game. I just thought the injuries were wild. The injuries were just
injuries. And big news is that Joe Burrow is done for the season.
Yeah, the Steelers are guaranteed a top position in their division now.
I don't say guaranteed.
Oh, they're guaranteed. All right, and as always, it is time for the weekly Cowboys disappointment tracker.
Ooh.
And it wasn't this week. I'm sorry. Cowboys beat
surprised.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering.
I was
Cowboys
kind of expecting them.
Well, what? So Cowboys beat the Panthers 33-10. Dak Prescott sacks. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott stats.
Do you want to restart the episode, buddy?
Yeah, can we just take it from the top? Sarah, can you take it to the top?
Sarah, can you take it from
Dak Prescott's stats? I was looking at the next line, which said Panthers gave up 7 sacks.
I thought you were trying to say that Dak Prescott was getting sacked. I didn't even realize you were trying to say stats.
So Dak Prescott's stats. Say that 5 times.
You can't say one.
He went 25 of 38 for 189 yards. Still 2 touchdowns, but
That's
25
awful.
completions. Those are insane stats. Those are so good. Um,
If that was Bo Nix, you would be on your hands and knees right now.
I'm Tony Romo right now with Josh Allen. No, yeah, he had a terrible QB matchup right there. But I mean, when Bryce Young gets sacked 7 times, like, doesn't matter how bad the other quarterback is if your quarterback can't get off a pass
I
or
was thinking about the
anything.
Cowboys, like we were saying, like
Mm-hmm.
their defense carries them. They have
Their
Dak
defense
Prescott
carries
as a QB.
so hard, dude.
Also, unless you just forgot to put it on, Dak did not get an interception.
I didn't put it on there because he didn't get an interception. So
So
we
he
should
still
start. We
has.
should start doing our Dak interception tracker. He's getting close. You're right.
I'm surprised you don't have it on since
We need to
he
do that
was
next
so
week.
cocky at the beginning of the
Was
season.
it 10? Was it 10?
He can't. He said he's going to throw less than 10. So
Less
once
than
he gets
10.
to 9, he's done. And I'm pretty sure he's at 6 right now.
Done. Well, this
He
week
can throw
helped because
3 more.
but they're wrapping up their little easy run they had. So they're 7-3 right now. They got the Seahawks next week, which I could not tell you how that game's going to go. The Seahawks are so up and down this season. But after that, well, they got the
Seahawks
Commanders
next week?
first, and then Seahawks. Oh my gosh! So they got the Commanders. That'll be an easy game, I think. They'll probably lose it. And
Probably,
then
yeah.
they got the Seahawks, and then Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions.
Bills, Dolphins, Lions.
It's tough because they're second in their division at 7-3, only because the Eagles are in their division at 9-1. So it's like they're not gonna. I mean, unless the Eagles lose their next 2 games and both teams are 9-3 when they play each other, I don't think they're gonna pass. That'd be insane. I don't. Who are the Eagles' next 2 games? Now that I say that,
Probably D's.
you too. Oh, what team is that? I'm not familiar.
Oh, it's like D's nuts.
I hate you. Stop. Oh, bro, it's kind of possible. The Eagles' next 2 games are the Bills and 49ers. Which means that by the time the
I could see
Eagles,
them being 10-2.
yeah, I think the Eagles probably will win. 49ers Eagles will be a good matchup. But that means that by the time the Cowboys and Eagles play, they could be tied for lead of their division.
Why do I feel like the Eagles and 49ers already played this season? Like
I did too.
I know they didn't, but I feel like they already did.
They lost. They got their first losses the same week, so everyone was talking about them together. So I'm guessing
that's probably it.
All right. So yeah, that's our NFL weekly update. Champions League, nothing much there. Match day 5 is going to be next week on the 28th. So hopefully we'll have some stuff for you guys then. NBA. In the West, the Timberwolves are coming out of nowhere to lead their conference, 10-3, and then Nuggets and Thunder are second at 10-4. The Thunder are on a 5-game win streak to get up there. Like everything is
Nuggets
shaking
are
up.
letting me down, dude.
Yeah, Lakers are 8-6 for our weekly LeBron hate track.
They're still positive, so I hate it.
Yeah. In the East, the Celtics are back on top at 11-3 with the Celtics are back on top 11-3 with the 76ers right behind at 10-3. As for the in-season tournament, Lakers, Pacers, Celtics are leading their group. Celtics.
The Lakers lead their group.
Lakers are 3-0 in the in-season tournament.
Why can't they play like that in regular season?
I don't think they started doing their in-season stuff till like this week or something. Like they're late bloomers. Get off their back. Pelicans, Nuggets, Kings, Timberwolves, and then Bucks and Heat are all tied for their respective fields. And then again, start of the tournament will be in a couple weeks for December 4th. So this is all just play-in stuff right now to determine what the tournament looks like. NHL Bruins are 12 wins, 1 loss, and 3 overtime losses. I learned this week that overtime losses are scored differently than a regular loss. So Bruins are 12-1-3. And the Rangers are 12-3-1 for their divisions in the East. And then the Stars are 12-4-1, and the Knights are 13-4-2 for their divisions in the West. The Avs are 11-6 with no overtime losses and are currently second in the Central West still. So
I don't want to talk about that, dude. They start off like 6-0 or something. Now they're 11-6.
5
I
and
want to
6
say
run.
yesterday, last night, I think, maybe it was 2 nights ago. They were up like 3-1 or 3-2 or something,
Yeah,
and
I
then
watched
lost the
that
game
game. It was
three
bad.
four.
I was watching that one at the bar. It was, yeah. Um,
Just let me down.
as for college championships, some of the championships are being set. Some of the big ones to be excited for: SEC, Georgia, Alabama
Ooh.
annual matchup that we're getting every year. And then for the ACC, Florida State's opponent has been decided. It'll be Louisville. Both these games will be
Louisville.
December 2nd, which is already like next week, which is crazy. Um,
I'm busy that day.
I would have said that Florida State would have taken this game before they even knew their opponent, but with all the quarterback stuff, who knows at this point? Um, yeah. Anyways, as for next week in sports, we've got number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Michigan. Michigan's a 3.5-point favorite in this game. This is a big one to watch out for. I think it's like the first game of the day or noon game or something Saturday. I
Michigan's gonna
think
get cracked on.
okay. I think it'll have some huge repercussions for the playoffs. So that'll be a big one to watch. And then number 6 Oregon versus number 11 Oregon State. Oregon is a 14-point favorite for this one. Surprising because Washington was a 1-point favorite against Oregon State. And Oregon needs to win this if they're still going to have any chance at snagging a spot at the end of the season. And then Colorado versus number 22 Utah. Utah is a 22-point favorite over Colorado, which I put this one in there because Utah is not an offensive team. So for them to
Because
put
Utah is not good.
for them to put 22 on Colorado would be absolutely insane. But do you want to talk about some NFL games to look out for next week?
There's going to be NFL games next week, guys. Be sure to check those out.
First ever Black Friday game.
Yeah. So we got Jaguars versus Texans. Why do I feel like they just played? Did you update this?
I did,
I feel like
yes.
they just played last week.
No, Texans just played the Cardinals.
Who did Jags play? Titans. It was
Titans. Similar teams. Start with a T.
True. I honestly couldn't tell you how that game's gonna go.
I think it'd be a
Jaguars
good
can
matchup.
either like. What's crazy is the team that I'm deciding if they're gonna play or not is Jags. Like Texans have been so consistent.
I'm starting CJ Stroud
Jags,
for
I'm
that
like,
game.
they could either put up 30 and be in a close game with Texans, or they could put up 3 and just get destroyed by Texans. So
I'm starting
that'll be a
CJ
tough
Stroud
one.
just because Gino's going to play the 49ers, and I don't even want to know what his stats are going to be like for that game.
You want Justin Fields?
Sure.
Trade him
For a kicker.
for Butker back. Bills versus Eagles. I think that'll be a good matchup. I still think Eagles take it, but I do think it should be a good game.
The Bills look, I mean, it was against the Jets, but the Bills looked like they had it like together against the Jets. Jets have a good
Like they know how to
defense.
play football.
So, like, and Josh Allen wasn't playing on Zach Wilson's level.
For once.
Which he might need that power against Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Although Hurts didn't do great last week, so.
That's true.
I don't know why this is on here. Bears versus Vikings. I don't know that that's the one we're looking out for. At this point, I feel like we're trying to lose on purpose. Maybe that's why he lost last week in the last 30
I could
minutes.
see that. That's why they threw it.
Maybe he was just like, yeah, see, look, Justin Fields can play and we can win big games. But now we're going to lose this big game so we get a better pick. I could honestly see them doing that.
I know.
So
I was watching that game with like my brother-in-law, and I was he was like, "Aren't the Bears like trying to lose? What are they doing right now? Like, why are they?"
When they lost like that, I was like, I think we just saw the first like very obvious
game.
throw. Like that was insane that we
What's
just
crazy
saw
is
that.
I
live.
think the Bears could beat the Vikings. It's just
I think they
do
could
they
beat the
want
Vikings.
to?
That's why I brought it up. I think we could beat the Vikings. I think we could have like a 14-point lead on them. But I could see us losing the game just like we did last week.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're at a point where they're like, Justin Fields should be on this team. And this team is good. We're gonna lose though, so we can get better draft picks. So I see us losing against the Vikings
I could see it.
just because we're throwing the season.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting game for sure. I mean, they could put up 40 and then blow that lead just because.
Just so that way we can get better draft picks.
All right, some hot takes to discuss. As always, feel free to drop your hot takes in the comments below, and we would love to discuss them and tell you guys how wrong you are. First one we got submitted by Anonymous. I don't know who submitted this, but they said the Broncos are going to win the Super Bowl this
This is
year.
the
Wow.
hottest take I've ever seen in my entire life about anything at all. That's
Broncos
an awful take.
Broncos win the Super Bowl this year. What are your thoughts? Go.
I'm not even kidding. And you can quote me on this. You can clip this and save it in case it does happen. If the Broncos win the Super Bowl this year, I will give you $100. I'm not even kidding.
You heard
If
it
the
here
Broncos
first.
somehow win the Super Bowl this year, I will give you $100.
Well, I was talking to my
That's
dad
how
how
confident I am they will not win the Super Bowl.
after the Nuggets won their championship, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, the Avs won the Stanley Cup, and then the next year the Nuggets won the NBA Finals. What if this year the Broncos win the Super Bowl?" And everyone was like,
Yeah, we've
"No."
talked about
And then like the
it.
season started off, and everyone was like, "Yeah, it's a joke." But now the Broncos have moved in to a 5-5 position. They're at a 500 win-loss ratio, which means that they have a clear chance to possibly make it in now. I mean, like, I don't remember
People are
their.
saying the Bengals are out at this point, and they're 5-5.
Yeah, they don't have a quarterback anymore.
No, they were saying he was out before Burrow got injured.
The Broncos are second in their division now. Like,
Their division is the Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs.
yeah, so I mean, they have a chance to get a playoff spot for sure. And then, I mean, once you're in the playoffs, it just takes one good game week in and week out to push you all the way. I mean,
I'm waiting for them to have one good game.
I'm telling you, the Broncos might win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, I told you if they win this Super Bowl, I will give you $100 because that's how confident I am. I almost
Oh
said
my
more,
gosh.
but I know that at the point of the Super Bowl, I won't have more. So
You're being
I had to
realistic.
go with the most amount of money that I would
appreciate it.
actually have at the
Well,
time.
when it happens, I'll take you out to lunch with that $100. So, moving on to
Might as well
some
just buy us lunch.
moving on to some real hot takes. Tommy DeVito. They're saying that Tommy DeVito is going to be the new franchise quarterback, and that Daniel Jones is done on the Giants.
I hope he is because he's not a bad quarterback. I want him to go to a team that could actually use him. I could honestly see him playing better at the Jets. Like the
Yeah,
Jets they don't really have an offensive line,
have
but I
anything.
could see him playing
I don't
better at
think.
the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. I mean, he
I've always
obviously
liked
had a
Daniel
good
Jones.
season last season. Like, there's a reason they
Had good seasons.
gave him a
They're
$10 billion contract extension.
They just don't use him. So
Yeah.
I would love to see him be replaced so that way he can go somewhere else and actually get used.
Yeah, I don't know too
properly.
much about like what Tommy DeVito's been doing. I don't really like to force myself to watch the Giants. But it seems like he's been doing solid. I mean, did they win last week? Could they play?
Yeah, they beat the Commanders.
That's right. They played the Commanders last week. Let's check out Tommy D's stats here real quick.
Tommy
18 to 26, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, 9 sacks, but you know. I don't know how much of that's his fault, but
That's insane.
I was like, why is this QBR 36? And I was like, oh, 9 sacks.
Because he was on the ground for most of the game.
Yeah, it was 9 sacks for 45 yards. So that's
Jeez, he gave up half a football field by getting hit.
so. I mean, but he was like their third string quarterback after like Tyrod Taylor or whatever. So
That's insane that everyone's just getting destroyed.
So I mean, I could see them keeping Tommy DeVito. I think if they're going to do that, I don't think Daniel Jones needs a spot on the bench. I think they need to just trade him away. I don't think Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
I think he could excel somewhere else.
Someone that will pick up his contract.
Yeah, because they gave him so much, they might have to pay out the rest of the contract before they get rid of him. All right. Chargers need to fire head coach Brandon Staley.
Hmm, I feel like that is a hot take. I don't know how much of it is really his fault. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have a defense that can help them play. I feel like if anything, they just need to hire defensive players. Like I don't.
Yeah.
It's
What's
hard because I'm not a
let's see.
Chargers fan. I'm not watching Chargers games week in week out, so I don't
Right.
know what Brandon Staley is doing to them. But what I see as an outsider is they just do not have a defense that's helping them in any situation.
He is currently 23-20 with the Chargers, with one postseason appearance and no postseason wins. Um. So I
Better than the
mean,
Bears, and we
yeah,
believe in that guy.
that's fair. Yeah, I mean, a lot of articles here just calling that he's out at the Chargers. I don't. How much of it, because it's clearly a defensive issue. I mean, Justin Herbert and an offense have no issue whatsoever. How much of the defense is on the head coach? Like,
Shouldn't be much. It should be on the DC. I
yeah,
mean, after
I don't know, man. I feel like if the Broncos get 70 points hung on them and Vance Joseph got to keep his job, I don't like. Why would they fire a coach who? What are the Chargers right now? Like 10?
10 what years old?
4-6. I mean, they're not doing too good. Never mind. Get rid of him.
Never mind, sell him.
Hey yo.
The Raiders got rid of their head coach, which I feel like
Yeah.
kind of started a wave of people being like,
Get rid of that coach.
if they can get rid of a head coach in the middle of a season, why are we not getting rid of more coaches that aren't doing
Like, wait,
anything at
that's an
all?
option?
And then
Yeah.
after that happened, everyone was like, Matt Canada needs to get fired from the
He
Steelers.
got
Like
fired, didn't he? Didn't he get
he
fired?
got fired yesterday.
Yeah, like
I'm
just
pretty sure it was
yesterday.
yesterday or this morning. Like
Yeah.
so, the fact that all
That's
these
2 head
people
coaches
are
this season.
finally
Wow. Or not.
getting,
Matt Canada's not head coach, it's offense. Yeah.
yeah, you're clearly a casual.
Shut up. Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, so I
teams are
think we are
showing that they
gonna
can do it.
we're gonna see more coaches fired because it's finally happening. Hopefully, the Bears can be a part of that. I just don't know if the Chargers will be a part of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, I mean, he's got a positive record right now, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could be doing different besides play better. Like their
Get a
defense just
get people that,
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Right. Last hot take here we got Zach Wilson could be a good QB if he had a better line.
That is a hot take because Zach Wilson is awful.
You said you said we haven't been doing hot takes, so I tried to get some good ones this week.
I know,
Zach
and
Wilson
everyone I said
is
is a hot take.
MVP.
The only
Um,
one that's not a hot take is the Tommy DeVito one because I
I
feel
don't
like
know. I feel like
it's
when
going to
Zach Wilson
happen.
has time in the pocket, like he can make better decisions. Like,
Zach Wilson every now and then will do something where I'm
yeah,
like,
exactly.
he might be, and then every play besides the 5 that it's happened, I'm like, Zach Wilson is so awful at being an NFL quarterback.
What's it
Why
saying
was he
is
drafted?
what's it saying is not only are they starting what's his face this week. Um, I don't even remember his name, dude. No one knows who this guy is. Tim Boyle. I think it's Tim Boyle or whatever.
I think, yeah.
Um,
Trevor Simeon's the backup to
yeah.
him.
Not only are they starting him, but Trevor Simeon's the backup, and then Zach Wilson's a third string now. Not only did they bench Zach
And then when
Wilson,
Aaron Rodgers
they
comes back,
left
I'm
him in the
wondering if he'll
locker
just
room.
be on the practice squad, if on
Oh
the
my
team at all.
gosh, that's crazy, dude. That's just because I was like, dog, why did they hype up the Trevor Simeon announcement like it was something big and then not even use him? They haven't used Trevor Simeon.
They're like, we're getting a veteran QB, and then I forgot he was on the team.
Right. And then they were like, all right, we're going to bench Zach Wilson this week. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, Simeon's going to get a chance. And it was
Trevor
like,
Simeon's
Tim
gonna get
Boyle's starting. And I was like, what?
like, who is Tim Boyle?
I was like, why did you get another quarterback for your already huge QB room if you're not even going to use him? Like, just to put even a bigger buffer between Zach Wilson and the field. What would be insane is if they play. Oh yeah, they play the Dolphins this week. What would be insane is if Tim Boyle and Simeon go out with an injury, and Zach Wilson has to come in.
Zach Wilson's the only QB left on the Jets because they have 3 big quarterbacks that are injured. They're like, Rodgers, can you come back this week, please? They call him.
Would
They're
be
like,
even
get your pads on.
would be even more terrifying is if both quarterbacks went out with Achilles tears.
Achilles tear.
You're just
Maybe they're setting up for it. They get Achilles tears. One gets one this week. One gets one next week. Zach Wilson gets one the other week, and that's when Aaron Rodgers comes in,
and
comes out of the tunnel, padded up.
They can't do anything because they're 4-9 at that point with no chance at a playoff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel like Zach Wilson. I feel like we see every now and then we see something out of him where it's like, okay, like we see why he was a starting quarterback. And then the next play he like throws it to his coach because he wants to play catch or something, and they're like, "What do you like?" So I don't know.
We'll do that after the game. Stop.
Zach, we do it at home.